fellow college biology, this should be our final video on protein. So we need to go over protein function, and overall, the jobs of cells are determined by the proteins they make. So eyes can do eye jobs because they got special proteins that help them conduct the chemical reactions or build the structures for doing eye things. And the stomach can do stomach things because of the proteins those cells are making, and skin can act the way it does because of the proteins it's making. So the jobs of cells are determined by the proteins they make. So let's take a look at that. Cell differentiation is when a body starts making different types of cells that have to cooperate together in order to create an organism. So all of these cells, nerve cells, blood cells, muscle cells, fat cells, intestinal cells, all of these cells are able to be different from each other because they produce different proteins. So let's start taking a look at some of the different jobs that proteins have. This is sort of a zoom in of a skin cell, and you can see the phospholipid bilayer here, which is acting as the cell membrane, and we've got some proteins that are embedded in the cell membrane, but outside of those are some proteins here that connect one cell to another cell. These are collagen fibers. Collagen is a protein, and it's a little bit stretchy, and so it's kind of a springy connection between the cells, which allows our skin to be stretchy a little bit. So that is a structure protein. That is a protein that provides a structure, a characteristic to the cell that, when cooperating with other cells, kind of builds our body. So that is a structure protein. A second example are transport proteins. So we have a phospholipid bilayer, which is acting as our cell membrane, and we have all these particles outside the cell and inside the cell, and oftentimes we need to move things from outside to in or inside to out, and these are proteins that are embedded in the cell membrane that actually kind of, sometimes they're tunnels and sometimes they open and close, but they allow specific things into and out of the cell, and sometimes they can move things through the cell. So transport proteins function to move material into and out of the cell. Another type of protein is a receptor. Receptors also, you can see here, phospholipid bilayer. You can see this receptor embedded in the phospholipid bilayer. And what it does is it will react and attract, and react to specific chemicals outside of the cell. So these may have been released by other cells as a form of communication. It may be something that they sense in their environment, like the chemoreceptors in our nose. So they're reacting to something. And when they do, they undergo a chemical reaction which might create something else inside the cell, and this something else will interact with the cell and maybe change the way the cell behaves. So the cell will respond to this because the receptor is responding to that, whatever the chemical signal is, or the sensory signal. Could be light or pressure or temperature. But this receptor is responding to something which causes a reaction to occur inside the cell, which may change the cell. So receptors are a form of cell communication. How do they respond to the outside world, and how do they respond to each other? So receptor proteins are doing. And finally, we have enzymes. Enzymes are kind of like the construction workers of the body. They do a lot of the chemical, they help a lot of the chemical reactions. Enzymes are biological catalysts. So they catalyze biological reactions. That means they speed them up. So a reaction that might take 24 hours or 36 hours, the enzymes can do sometimes in less than a second, sometimes in minutes. So enzymes are really helpful to the cell to help these reactions occur at the speed of life, if you will. So enzymes work a specific way. They primarily alter some molecule or atom. They alter something. So we start with the enzyme, and it's going to be attracted to its substrate. The substrate is the thing that the enzyme alters. When they bind together, their polarity changes, which causes the enzyme to change its shape. You can kind of see here it's flat, but then here it changes its shape. I kind of wish that was a little more pronounced, because the shape changing is usually a bigger deal. But it changes its shape. When it changes its shape, it also changes the shape of its substrate, and then it renatures back to its original position and releases its products. So now this is an example where we started with one molecule and we broke it up into two molecules. Enzymes can do, this would be an example of digestion, where you take a larger molecule and break it into smaller parts. Enzymes can also be involved in synthesis, where you take two molecules and you kind of fuse them together to make a larger molecule. Or it could be two particles. It doesn't have to be molecules. Take two particles and kind of link them together, form a bond between them to create a larger molecule. So let's review. Protein. The jobs of cells are determined by the proteins they make. Categories include structure protein, which is used as building material for cells and tissues. Receptor proteins, which respond to signals for cellular communication. Transport proteins, which move substances into, out of, and through cells. And finally, enzymes, which catalyze or speed up biological reactions. And this can include digestion, which is breaking apart molecules, and synthesis, which is building larger molecules. I hope this helps. Struggle well.